Hey guys, it's Star the Flippin' Hippo. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel at Flippin' Hippos. Today, as you could tell by the title, we're going to be talking about sourcing with confidence. When you go out sourcing, whether you're the type that goes out to thrift stores and flea markets, if you like estate sales, if you like to shop from home in your pajamas online looking at storage auctions, government auctions, wherever you go, however you source, you need to be doing it with confidence. And that means not only going in knowing what you're looking for, something that you have expertise in or something that you are specifically sourcing, but also having the confidence and the knowledge that when you see items that are unfamiliar to you, you can look at it and think, that's not a good idea, or hey, I heard of that before, I'm gonna get that. So just for instance, if I go in a thrift store, y'all know I'm looking for plush, I'm looking for jeans. But if I walk past the electronics and I see an old typewriter or a DVD VCR combo, I know those are two things that I should pick up. And that just comes with time and gaining the knowledge and the confidence over time of being a reseller. If you're say you're an electronics reseller and you go to an estate sale looking for electronics, and you walk past a Harley Davidson leather coat or a Walt Disney exclusive 2-foot Mickey Mouse that's a plush, you're not a clothing reseller or a plush reseller, but chances are you're probably going to pick up that Harley coat and the Walt Disney plush. So you can have your areas of expertise and have your confidence and your knowledge in that, but to be making money all the time, it's good if you have the knowledge and the confidence to be able to look at any item anywhere and know, hey, that's worth money if I flip it, or let me not touch that, that's not worth money. And reselling is just like anything else, any job that you've ever had, anytime you've started a new hobby or a new sport, you always start down here with little to no knowledge. And over time, you get more experienced, you gain the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience, and you get better. You do it by yourself, from your peers, from research, from many, many sources. You're able to compile all of this experience and knowledge until you know you're like expert level at any given thing. So with reselling, I think that the way you can learn is broken down into 3 basic categories. 2 of them will cost you money, and one of them is going to cost you a lot of time, and time is money in our business. These are broken down into research, the buy it all method, I like to call it, and then the paying for your education or knowledge. The first one, research, is going to take a lot of time. You can go online to YouTube, Facebook groups, Instagram, websites. There is a plethora of knowledge available to you at your fingertips on the internet for you to learn reselling for free. But it takes a lot of time, and time is money. And so I don't really recommend the all research way. If that's what you want to do, by all means, spend 3 months doing nothing but research and then jump on in, and that's fine if that's what you want. But my feeling on it is all that time you've spent researching, you could have at least gotten your toes a little wet, like, you know, dipped into the pool a little bit, and maybe even if you were just starting with things around your house, you could have already been learning how to list on a platform, learning shipping, and making a profit. The second method is the buy it all method, and this is basically how Keith and I learned, and I absolutely would not recommend the buy it all method unless you have 2 things, both, not one or the other, 2 things going for you. You need to have already money set aside to be capital for your business or an nest egg of some sort, and you need to have the access to really low cost of goods. So when we got started, Keith had money he set aside to start his business, and we found the bins where you pay by weight, and we found 99-cent days at a couple of thrift stores, and we did the buy it all method. We would just go in and buy anywhere from 100 to 300 pieces every weekend and bring them home, and we would spend $100 to $300 on those pieces and bring them home, like I said, and we would find out that some of these brands were definitely worthwhile. These are things that we should definitely pick up if we ever see them again, and we made a huge profit on them. We found a lot of the mid-grade or the bread and butter brands that get you a decent profit and flip at a decent rate, but they're not amazeballs. And then we had some stuff that was just crap, and they were basically no-lows. Like, do not ever source these again. I don't care if they're a nickel. These things were bad, and we had to find out from learning, and that's how we chose to learn, was just to buy all the things and bring them home. Now, most of the bad items that we found, we did get our money back. We really didn't take a lot of losses. And in the worst case scenario, you would take a little bit of a loss, but in most cases, you can get your money back. But then, you know, looking back, you know, they say hindsight is 20/20. When I look back at that time, I think, you know, what if we hadn't done that method? Because those, you know, 10, 15 items we brought home every week that were poop, that we took the time to take the photos of and list just to make our money back so we weren't at a loss, that was time we could have been photographing and listing 10 or 15 of the bread and butter or the really great brands and been making a profit. So would we have been better off redonating those items and taking the loss at tax time? So the buy it all method isn't perfect either. It's, you know, if you do the whole entire research method, you're looking at spending a ton of time without any hands-on or making any profit. If you do it the buy it all method, you're going to bring home stuff that's not worth it, and then are you going to spend the time to list it, or are you just going to get rid of it? So ideally, if you don't want to buy any guides or pay for any groups or pay for any knowledge, which is the third way to learn, you probably want to do a mix of the research and the buy it all so that you are researching and learning at the same time that you're buying and making money. But the third way is to pay for guides. Now, there's thousands of guides out there, you guys. There's thousands of BOLO guides that will tell you what brands to look for, but there aren't really any no-lo guides. There's no guides telling you what to avoid. There's not a lot of guides that have a lot of the bread and butter brands, which is the basis of our business. Now, if you live in an area where you can regularly find the really amazing brands that you find on all these BOLO guides, the brands that will sell for $40 up, the brands that will profit you the most money, by all means, tell me where you live down below because I want to move there. But I know I've discussed this before. We live in an area where those brands are few and far between. The reason we have our clothing reselling business set up as a volume-based business is because of what's in our area. If we went out each weekend and were so picky that we only brought home the best of the best, and say we even said 30, everything we brought home had to sell for $30 or more, we would come home each weekend with 3 items maybe. There'd be weekends we might come home with 4 or 5, and weekends we'd come home with nothing. And you can't build a business on that. So we've adapted to the area we live in, and we've learned how to make a volume-based business on the bread and butter brands. But I don't see a lot of guides out there that focus on anything but those super duper amazing finds. And if you can pick up one of these BOLO guides and immediately source 100 of these items a week, like I said, you live in a really great area, and you probably want to tell me where you live. But most of us don't. And that's where I think a lot of the guides fall short. They don't ever tell you what not to buy, and they don't ever tell you about the bread and butter brands that you can really build a volume-based bigger business on. And they never tell you the average time that an item is going to set. Most BOLO brands are really, really good at focusing in on one type of item, one type of inventory that you want to source, and giving you all the best brands to go out and buy. And they're great for that. I'm not knocking them. If you want a really good list of all the men's shoes brands that you should be outsourcing every weekend, they're out there. You can get a men's shoe BOLO guide, and you now know what shoes to buy. But it's not going to tell you the bread and butter brands. It's not going to tell you what brands to avoid. And no, the items that aren't on the list aren't the ones that you should necessarily be avoiding before you comment that. If it's not on a BOLO list, it doesn't mean it's a no-lo. It could very well be a bread and butter or a volume-based brand. If it's not on a BOLO list, it doesn't mean you shouldn't source it, depending on your goals and how your business is set up. And that's my point. If you want to buy a guide that tells you all the best brands of shoes or bowling balls or collector comics, those exist. But there isn't a guide out there that tells you what to buy, what not to buy, and what's okay to buy, and how long they typically sit before they sell, and what your target price should be to purchase them. I haven't seen all that information together in one guide. I have seen a couple of guides here and there that give you your target price you should be paying for an item. I think I have seen one no-lo guide, but I've never seen a guide that puts all this information together in one place at your fingertips. So if you're choice to learn is to pay for the guides and pay for the knowledge, and you want to go out and buy these guides, be very careful. Just make sure you're only choosing the ones that focus in on what you want to focus in on, and just be aware that they're not always going to have all the information. That being said, I think guides can be a good thing because the majority of them are sold in PDF format, which means you can download them right to your phone. The reason I want to mention this is because when you're out at a thrift store, I don't know how many of you are like us and just cannot get a signal. It doesn't matter if it's Goodwill, Salvation Army, or a mom and pop thrift store down the street. I cannot get a signal in a thrift store. I'm not saying it's a big conspiracy theory, but it is a big conspiracy theory because I have never been in a thrift store where I can actually get service. It takes 5-10 minutes of walking around the store, holding your arm up, going to the front of the store, holding your arm out, looking like a nerd, just trying to get some kind of service. And sometimes I'm lucky. If I'm really stubborn and I really want to look up the comp on something, I will set it to the solds on that brand on eBay on the search on my phone. I put it up front of the basket, and then I shop for 20 minutes and come back and check, and maybe I have the comps. But for the most part, I can never ever get service in a thrift store. And additionally, I would like to add, just to increase the mystery of this conspiracy theory, every church sale I've been to and every flea market I've ever been to, I still can't get service at those places either. The flea markets, I kind of think that's just because they're usually on the outskirts of town, maybe. But generally speaking, when we're out thrifting, I can never get service. Keith and I actually do have a couple of bolo guides that we use for our research purposes, and those PDFs are on our phone. And they are so convenient, you guys. But they don't have everything. You know, just like I talked a minute ago about what I kind of feel like I wish a lot of bolo guides had, or clothing guides had, that they don't have. There's some things that I feel they should have that are missing, but the guides that I do have that say are specifically for jeans, those are great for me when I'm in a thrift store. I find a brand of jeans that's new to me and it's not 99 cents on sale. Do I want to spend $3.50 or $7 on these jeans? And I can't get service and I can't comp it. I got the PDF on my phone. I can just look up that brand and see if they're on the bolo guide of jeans or not, and any other information it may have. So I do think that bolo guides are invaluable in the fact that they're PDFs that you can access anywhere at any time at your convenience. You can keep a copy on your computer for when you're working. If you're sourcing online at home or you're listing, you have that guide right there on your computer to look at. And then you can have a guide on your phone, and when you go out, you have it right there at your fingertips. So anyway, Keith and I were talking one night about the different guides that we do have that we utilize. And all of these things, I feel like some of them are lacking, and I really wish there was one guide that had all this information in one place. And we thought, well, why don't we create it? And that's like, you know, how most really, I guess, great ideas happen in the world. Somebody sees something that's lacking in something and wishes there was something in existence that had all of these things they wish they had. You just make it yourself. And that's what we decided to do. So I am actually here to announce to you guys the unveiling of our 2019 clothing guide. And it is not a bolo guide. It is different than any guide you guys have ever seen before. And the reason is because we've included everything in it that I wish every guide ever had. It has 195 different brands in this guide. It mostly focuses on men's and women's jeans, women's tops, and men's button front shirts. We feel like jeans and men's button front shirts are definitely our strong point when it comes to used clothing reselling. Those are two areas that we have done a lot of research on as far as buying and reselling it, getting the guides, doing the research online. And we flip a lot of jeans and we flip a lot of men's button front shirts. Those are our strong points. That's where we feel like we've reached expert level. So we've focused our guide on those things that we deal with regularly, that we feel confident in our expertise. In some instances within these 195 brands, we have included other garments or types of clothing than shirts and jeans, just because it was a brand that either was well known for another type of clothing, or while we were doing our research putting the guide together, we discovered that this brand had a really high sell-through rate or average sale price on a skirt. And we thought, you know what, that's valuable information, that's useful. So there is 195 brands of jeans and men's shirts, button front shirts. And then additionally, within some of the brands, we've included other types of clothing that were valuable to include. Each brand gives you the average sell-through rate for the brand overall, and then for new and used. It has an average sale price for new and used, and then it has a target purchase price for you that is geared towards doubling your initial investment. So that target purchase price is minus the shipping and is going to double your investment. Of course, if you can find it lower than that, that's even better. And then additionally, this is the best part, I love this part, each brand is broken down by how long it's going to take to sell. You guys know that I'm always telling you, clothing is long tail. Clothing is not a fast flip. With very, very few and very, very rare exceptions, clothing takes a while to flip. It's just long tail. We've broken down the clothing in this guide into 3 distinct categories as far as how fast, on average, you can expect it to sell. There's clothes that will sell within 1 to 4.5 months. There's clothes that will sell 4.5 to 9 months. And then there's those really slow things that take 9 months or longer. Again, this is just an average, and there are a lot of things that can play into how fast or slow something sells. If you have a very plain button front shirt, it's going to take longer than the same brand, same size of a shirt with a really cool graphic on it. Bigger sizes sell quicker. Seasonality can come into play. It's going to, shorts are obviously going to sell quicker in the summer. Winter coats will probably sell quicker in the winter. So there are a lot of things that can come into play with that. But there is like a basic average time frame that it takes clothes to sell. So we included in this guide all the things that I wished every guide ever had. Because of these 195 brands, not all of them are great. Not all of them are bad. Some of them are just mediocre. It's 195 brands broken down into how often they sell, what their average sale price is, and how long they take to sell. And then you can, on your own, determine from that information, oh my gosh, this is a brand I definitely need to get and flip. This is a brand that's okay if I need bread and butter. And this is a brand I never want to touch. We don't actually break the guide down into bolos, bread and butter, and no-los. We feel like the information we gave you gives you enough information for you on your own to decide for yourself if it's a bolo, a bread and butter, or a no-lo. And you can base that on all the information we included for each brand and style of clothing within that brand. I'm actually going to share my screen with you guys now and show you a little sneak peek of the guide and go over some of what I've just explained to you to show you what I mean. It sounds like we've included a lot of information that can get very convoluted and very confusing and hard to understand on a spreadsheet, but it's actually laid out super duper easy to read. It's super duper easy to understand. Everything is right there at your fingertips. So even though it's a lot of information, it's not convoluted. It's very easy to use. So let's take a little sneak peek at the guide now. So let's just take a real quick look at a sneak peek of the guide here. This is page 7 of 29 of the guide, and we are looking at this row from BKE Buckle women's jeans all the way down to the Brunelli Cucinelli women's tops. I'm just going to go over real quick the women's and men's BKE Buckle jeans just to give you an idea of how this guide is going to work. So you can see where it tells you there are 9,250 total women's BKE buckle jeans listed on eBay. 8,618 are used, 597 are new. In the last 90 days, 5,003 used BKE buckle women's jeans have sold, 447 new. The average sell-through rate on BKE buckle women's jeans overall is 37.16, and that is 36.73 for used and 42.82% for new. Your average selling price for used BKE buckle women's jeans is $17.51 and new is $28.90. So your target price when you're outsourcing these, you don't want to pay more than $3.67 for a used pair or $8.51 for a new pair. Then we go down to the BKE buckle men's jeans, and I know I have said this in many of my haul videos and many of my what sold videos. Men's clothes just do better in general, and men's jeans always do better than women's jeans, even within the same brand, and you can even see that here. The sell-through rate on the used men's buckle jeans is 74.87, and the new is 75.49%. That is a huge increase over women, but there's less listed overall. The total amount of men's buckle jeans listed is 3,160. 2,373 are used, 787 are new. So there's less, but the sell-through rate is better. And the amount sold is actually more in the last 90 days than the women's. And that just goes to show you that men's clothing does do better. That's just something I wanted to point out because I know I'm always telling you guys that, especially when it comes to these BKE buckle jeans. I do promote those a lot, and I tell you guys the women's jeans just don't really sell for a lot anymore, and they don't move that quickly anymore, but the men's are still doing really good. Let's take a look at their average sale price for used men's BKE buckle. It's $27.47, and for new, $38.79. And then you don't want to pay more than $7.90 for a used pair or $12.71 for new. So that is how this guide works. It shows you how many are listed, broken down into used and new, how many have sold in the last 90 days, which gives you your sell-through rate, again broken down into used and new, the average selling price for used and new, and your target price when you're out shopping. The highlighted areas are that average time it's going to take to sell that I mentioned, green being the fastest, yellow being the slowest, or yellow being the mid-ground, and red being the slowest. With the rare exception of some brands and some styles that just do really well, like these BKE men's jeans, those will be green. But most of your clothing, realistically, you guys, is going to fall in that yellow area, and a lot of it's going to fall into the red. It's just long tail. 195 brands broken down exactly like you see here, so you can determine your bolos, your bread and butter, your nolos, what you want to source, how fast it will sell on average, what the average sale price is. All of this right at your fingertips in one single guide in PDF form. You can download this on your phone, and when you're outsourcing, you have all of this information at your fingertips. You find a pair of men's BKE buckle jeans at Salvo half off for $3.50. Well, the target price should be $7.90, so you know you're golden. It's great. It's going to sell fast. The sell-through rate is great. But maybe you find a pair of women's BKE used jeans for $7. Well, target price is $3.67, so you know to put them back. But even if they were within that target price, you kind of take another look over there and you see the sell-through rate's a little slower. Maybe you put them back. Maybe you're only looking for fast stuff. But this is a really amazing way to have a ton of information, not just a bolo guide. A guide overall of 195 brands with all of this information right at your fingertips on your phone while you're at the thrift store. So the guide is available for sale. We have launched it as of today. January 26th is our launch date for our 2019 clothing guide. You can get it for only $20 if you use the link below in the description box. Additionally, I would like to extend a special discount to those of you that are in our Facebook group. You will receive a code that you can use for 25% off and get the guide for only $15. Just remember at the end of the day that the time and the money you put into your store is well worth it. Whether it's just time researching, money spent buying a ton of items to bring them home and learn, or whether you buy guides or pay for knowledge online, all the money, all the time, all the effort that you put in is really going to pay out for you guys. If you want to build a really great business and be amazing at reselling, you got to put something in, either time or money. You won't learn this by osmosis. You've really got to do your research, and if that's free or paid for, that's up to you again. I just encourage everyone to always be learning. Never stop learning, never stop seeking knowledge. Even if you think you're expert level at something, there's always something new that you can learn from someone else or from another source. So just don't ever stop learning. It will always pay out for you in the end. Smash the like button before you leave, guys, if you would. I would appreciate it. If you haven't already, you'd like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at Flippin' Hippos. Until next time, you guys have a good night.